Get ready to have a blast with the newest adult party game from Hasbro, Centipede Twister. Everyone remembers the awkward poses and sexual tension from the classic Twister. Well, now we cut that tension like a hot knife through your Achilles tendon. Centipede Twister is just like regular Twister, but instead of having one spinner to indicate which appendage goes where, well, there's a second spinner to indicate mouth or butt to, well, mouth or butt. See where your game takes you and make sure you watch what you eat beforehand. Centipede Twister. It'll grow on you.
Is this a metal thing?
Yes.
Little taste.
David. David, what is this?
Pretty thick.
Great.
I have big tits and a tiny vagina.
Oil me up, Daddy. I can't believe the Bryce first big tits. Mistletoe alert. This is backcountry.
This guy was a real jerk.
How long can Hugo be pregnant?
Chomp, 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 chomp.
Oh, she's such a dick, David.
Okay, everybody, put on your corpse handling gloves.
Ew.
Hoodie Picasso.
Horror.
I've never been excited for a game like I have been for Centipede Twister, Bryce. I mean,
it's pretty rare when you. It's a pretty unique thing. These these ads that we write. Every once in a while, you're just like, I'm a fucking golden god.
Because everybody knows that Twister's like the game where you get to lightly touch the arm of the person you like. And so just adding another another spinner that's like, have sex with them. It seems like a hole in one.
That should just be Twister. Instead of like a mat on the floor, just put dots all over people's bodies.
Oh, yeah.
Like the red dots on their asshole. Like, all right. And then the blue dot is on your mouth. You're like, all right. Blue dots on red dots.
If you haven't guessed, we have a real treat for you today. Welcome to Horror Movie Talk. Your panel of expert hosts each week are Dr. Brent Hartfelt, who holds a PhD in and me, Professor David Day, the foremost expert in scare no-nos. Great show today. Actually really excited about this. We're going to be reviewing Human Centipede 2. You know what?
So what's the origin of this episode?
The origin of this episode is we hit 125. We actually blew past our goal for 125 patrons. And thank you so much. Oh, yeah, you can bring up that list. Thank all the most.
Here's all 125 of them. Susan K., Jaron H., Al, Dylan P., Amy H., Charles C., Matt. Okay. I won't do all 20.
Thank you, everybody who has been supporting us on Patreon. Because we hit 125 patrons, we're doing a special thing for the patrons. We're releasing a commentary track to go with one of the grossest movies ever made, Human Centipede 2, only on Patreon over there. So if you'd like to hear that commentary track, become a patron at any level. And you can listen to that right away. But in the meantime, you can listen to our review of the Human Centipede 2. On the commentary track, if you can't tell, is a track where you watch Human Centipede 2 and you get to hear us laughing
and experiencing it along with you. That's right. Which, let me tell you, makes the experience much better. Yeah.
Because it is a harrowing hour and 30 minutes.
You know, we've done two of them now. We've done one for Human Centipede and this one for Human Centipede 2. I would like feedback on how well they went for people that listen to them, if anyone's listened to them.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's better to do a commentary track on a movie that you've watched and you like.
Oh.
Than one that...
I thought it went really well. I thought our commentary track on Human Centipede, I had an absolute blast.
Yeah, I felt there was a lot of dead space.
Oh no!
Just from having to watch Dead Space.
You need to go back and listen to it because it plays well.
Okay.
Yeah, it does.
I have very little faith in our ability to be entertaining, but people tell us that we're funny, so.
Yeah, and if you'd like to support the show or, learn more about the show or anything like that, head over to horrormovietalk.com. All of our episodes, all of our reviews, all of our merch, everything, all of our social media links, all that's over there. Big thanks to the patrons. As I said, there's also a link to our Patreon on that website, so you can get there easily. Reminder, everybody, we have a charity drive, GoFundMe thing going right now for the Trevor Project to help the LGBTQIA plus community youth, give them some support when and where they need it. So please check that out. That's on the homepage of our website, horrormovietalk.com. We post new episodes every single Wednesday, so make sure to subscribe, leave us a nice rating, and we'll appreciate you just ever so much. If you'd like to get a hold of the show, call us at 682-253-4468. So, we'll start out this show by giving a review and our score for the movie. We score on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being a miserable dredge, where it makes you angry, and 10 being so good that it transcends genre boundaries. After we give our score, we get into spoilers, take a deeper dive into what we liked and hated about the film, and later in this episode, we will be renewing an old bit. It came from social media.
Oh, wow.
If you want to get that bit or that drop ready, we're going to need it for later in the episode.
Do we have a drop for that?
Yeah. It came from social media. There's like a bunch of old 50s sounds.
Yeah.
It's actually one of my low-key one of my favorite ones. So, as I said, we watched the Human Centipede 2 full sequence, and we're treated to one of the most lauded gross-out flicks in recent memory. So, without any further ado, let's get into the trailer.
Hey, I hope you're not time wasting, you. I've got a dozen people waiting to look at this place. Hey, come on, let's get this lease signed, eh?
Human Centipede first sequence. There we go! Yeah!
Martin, I'm here today because your mother is very worried about you.
He keeps on talking about a centipede with 12 people. What does that mean?
The centipede can be considered a phallic symbol. Centipedes are very aggressive creatures.
Ian, please!
Their bite can be very painful.
What are you looking at?
Maybe he's connecting the pain that a centipede inflicts with the psychological and sexual abuse inflicted on him by his father. There's nothing to worry about. I'm sure it's just a passing phase.
What is this? 100% medically accurate. One digestive system? Is this a perverted film you've been talking about?
This isn't right, Martin. What you're doing, it's wrong.
I'm doing it! It's a film! The Human Centipede's a film!
This is the unfortunate story of Martin, a diminutive, quiet, and overweight lad who doesn't fancy senseless chit-chat. Martin is a night shift parking lot attendant who has an obsession with the movie The Human Centipede first sequence. He fantasizes about someday creating his own human centipede, larger and more fleshed out than the one depicted in the movie. Martin's life is depraved in every way that you can imagine. His mother hates him for having his father put away for sexually molesting him. His therapist wants to molest him. His neighbors want to kill him. One day, Martin snaps, and everyone gets more poop mouth than they bargained for. My review for The Human Centipede 2 goes a little something like this. The Human Centipede 2 full sequence is a meta-sequel to, you guessed it, The Human Centipede. Martin obsesses over the first movie, and for that, I kind of love this sequel. It's not just the meta take that's fun, it's the insanity of the whole thing done with a smile and a wink. It's absolutely depraved because it feels like a place and a person and a life that could exist. With this sequel, director Tom Six set out to give, quote, true horror fans a movie worthy of total disgust. In this, he delivers. I would definitely place this among the grossest movies I've ever watched, right alongside Guinea Pig 2, Flower of Flesh and Blood, and The Sadness. The enjoyment of The Human Centipede 2 lies in the shock value and the commitment to depravity. The version we watched was in black and white, which kind of added a whole other level of gritty grossness to the already disgusting experience. There were more than a few moments where the comedy in this shone through the waves of nausea, and I laughed out loud with shocked disgust. And by the way, on that commentary track, you can hear that. I admire this movie for what it is, which is an attempt to make you watch it through your fingers. Most people will find this movie to be absolutely uncalled for and totally devoid of entertainment value. And this movie is not for those people. The genius part about Human Centipede 2 is that it uses those people who shouldn't be watching it as a siren song to get to those who should be watching it. Human Centipede 2 exists, and that's enough for me. For the seasoned horror fan, this isn't a scary movie in terms of being thrilled or startled. It's scary because of what it puts into your soul. I don't love this movie by any means, but I have a weird respect for it and what it made me do, which is watch this movie. Somehow, the existence of this movie made me go, well, I have to watch that movie. And it was a long time of like me being like, I'll never watch that movie.
Right.
And then I kind of want to watch that movie.
Right.
And then like psyching myself up into it, like it can't be that bad. And then it wasn't really that bad, but it was pretty fucking gnarly.
Yeah, I talked about it on the commentary. It's like, I feel like the way David approached this movie is the same way like a toddler talks a lot about things that they're scared of.
Okay, why do I have to be a toddler in this?
To like self-assure them. Like, Mommy, that shark's in the water. Like, yeah.
He can't come on land.
The shark can't come on land, though. No. Sharks are bad. Like, yeah, honey, it's okay. And so they're like, you can tell that they're really like dreading the idea of a shark or being close to a shark, and they just want to like get your assurance of it. The same way, like, I don't give two thoughts to Human Centipede, but I feel like David mentions it relatively often among like the movies that are mentioned. It's like, yeah, Human Centipede's one of those really intense movies.
You mean 2?
Human Centipede 2 is like really, really intense. Like, it's supposed to be a real miserable time. And you've said that for a while, where I'm like, I think he really doesn't want to watch this movie. But at the same time, you have the weird attractions of like, I have to watch this movie.
Yeah, I like what it did to me. It was like,
yeah.
Hey, I'm over here. You gotta watch me. And I was like, no, I don't wanna. You can't make me. And I was like, yeah, you wanna.
Yeah, for me, I have I have a real soft spot in my heart for Human Centipede, where it's legit one of my favorite horror movies.
He's not joking. I think it might be in your top 5. Is it?
It's top 10. I don't think it's top 5, but it lives in this area that's just right in my wheelhouse of like intense dark comedy, where it takes itself utterly seriously, but it adds these like really goofy, like over the top elements where you can't tell whether this is even that part is serious or not. When it's like, are we supposed to be laughing at Dieter Laser? Like, or is this supposed to be like actually menacing this evil scientist, you know?
Yeah.
And I prefer the former, where it's like, this is like a crazy evil scientist, a la like, you know, 1950s black and white movies,
lab coat,
put into this ultra disgusting concept.
Right.
And I was very into it. And this one I'm not. Because
what's your experience with?
It doesn't have any of that charm. It's not as like over the top, like goofy in the same aspects that the. I'm not using the right words.
I disagree.
It's not goofy.
I disagree. This movie feels so goofy.
And it just this falls into that realm of like, this feels like a student film of a student trying to be edgy, to where it's not enjoyable for most of the movie for me, where it's like, okay, this is the same thing happening over and over again. He like this kind of disgusting little mole person, like finding a victim, taking him back to the warehouse. And that's like an hour of the movie. Is that over and over again? Yeah,
but you get little snippets of his life.
You get little asides of like, oh yeah, he's this obsessive guy and his home life is bad and it's really disgusting. It's like all just like to make you feel uncomfortable and gross in that aspect, but also it's very boring to me.
Okay.
And then it gets to the last act where all the Human Centipede action takes part. And that's where it's like, okay, now this is good stuff. Like, it's disgusting, it's shocking, and it's like over the top to the point of like, yeah, this is getting ridiculous, you know. And you kind of see through the film to like the intention of the director, where he's like, yeah, I'm gonna try to fuck some people up with this shit.
Yeah.
I mean, literally with this shit. And that stuff I like, you know? Okay. And I feel like that part where it's over the top and like ridiculous, but taken very seriously, like, that's the gold. And then they just don't do that for 2/3 of the movie. 2/3 of the movie is just like watching. I don't know. It's just not interesting to me. So like I've said this with other films before, but this is definitely one where it's the case of like, this could have been a short. This could have been cut down to just the third act, really. I mean, you would have needed about 10 minutes maybe of the setup of him obsessing over Human Centipede, cut to him entering a warehouse with a dozen people, like writhing around on the ground. You filled in the rest of the movie. Like, you get it. Like, he captured all the people and he set this up. That's all you need to know.
Okay, you know what we're going to do? because your touchstone in all of this is always could have been a short.
It's not always. It's only on movies that are strung out. And
it's very frequent. And that's such an uninteresting criticism to me. The more interesting version of that criticism to me is let's make it better. So we're going to play Let's Make It Better at the end of this thing because I want the full feature length version of this movie that is compelling and interesting. You know, like because it probably exists, right? Mm-hmm. You could take the parts that don't work out of this and insert like good parts to it. Well,
yeah, I mean, I'm saying this could have been a short from the editing floor. Like, they could have taken this movie and made it into a good short. Like, I'm not saying that this couldn't have supported a feature-length film, but not with this footage. Like, not with this script or storyline. Like, that's different. Like, and I don't say it that often. When's the last time I've said that?
You said it the last episode.
On Mad God.
No,
I said it because it was like it was the same thing. It's the same thing over and over again.
No, I can't remember. I would have to open my phone and look at it, but it's been said recently. Hey, it's a fair criticism of your criticism. I feel like
you say it should have been shorter way more often than I do.
I say, well, yeah, but my version of that is not. It could have been a short. My version of that is you need to cut 15 minutes off of this fucking movie. Because I don't know. I can just, to me, I want the full feature length movie. I just want it to be tight. And when there's a bunch of extra bullshit, you know, the number 23, like, oh, do you remember watching the number 23 and they gave you the ending 20 minutes before the movie ended? And it was like, oh, that just felt...
that's a different case because the number 23 just shouldn't have existed, that entire movie.
That was a horrible movie, but...
I don't think it's a knock to say, like, something would be better as a short because, I don't know, I've seen some really good short films that are like, I can't imagine that being better by adding anything to it. Like, there's some really, really good stuff. Did you ever see Ari Aster's Something About the Johnsons?
This is the thing. This is why I don't like that criticism, is because I'll go out of my way never to watch a short because I don't care.
There's a lot of really great shorts. I guess that's the thing, is you don't like them, so that seems offensive to suggest.
Yeah, it does seem offensive to suggest because it's like, because it's just a shittier version of a good thing. You know, it's like...
have you ever seen a good episode of television?
I'll tell you, Pixar does some actual shorts that I like. But in general, the experience of watching something for 8 minutes and then having to find something else to watch...
Well, no, not like... I mean, short can be like 20 minutes. I mean, it's not like...
Sure.
Sub 10 minutes, like...
It's the format that's offensive to me. I don't like the format. It's a self-contained, one-off short is not an interesting, compelling thing to me.
Okay, well, that feels weird.
I mean, it feels weird to say that a full feature length. You know, I mean, it's just a taste thing, I guess. You know.
I mean, some stories you can tell in a little bit of time, and sometimes it takes 2 hours.
Who knew that Human Centipede 2 would get this? Well, what are you giving it? What are you giving it?
I give it like a 3 out of 10. And honestly, it would have been like a 1 if I weren't like pretty engaged with the third act. Like, some of the over the top stuff in the end was like, okay, this is fun. Yeah. Like, it's undeniable. But I just, it's such a slog through. I will never watch this movie again. And it's not because like, ooh, it's gross and made me feel bad, which it did. But it's more of like, what a slog for, like, it's not worth the payoff, that lead up to it.
I'm pretty excited to watch Human Centipede 3 for all the wrong reasons. I'm 100% certain. Like, I've heard that it's terrible. Mm-hmm. Like, it's just so over the top and ridiculous that it's an absurd thing to watch. So now I'm like, well, let's do that. But yeah, no, it's interesting. I given this a 6.
Yeah. You sure are.
I think the comedy in this throughout, this is the darkest comedy you can possibly... but genuine, a lot of moments where I was like delighted at the just little tiny winks through the darkest, grossest, nastiest stuff you can possibly imagine. And you know what? I did not see this row coming out of it, of being like, shorts suck. And you'd be like, no, shorts are a valid criticism.
Well, it's a bold statement to be like, well, that's a cop-out criticism. It's like, okay. That's not...
Well, to me, it's an offensive criticism.
I know, and that's the shocking thing.
Yeah.
Is that...
It's like, because
it's demeaning to tell a short story in the short time frame.
Well, the demeaning thing is to look at a full feature length movie and be like, this should be a short.
Right.
That says, I mean, that is demeaning, right? I mean, and when it's said about a movie that you're like, kind of like this. Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, if you had said it about a movie that I hated, if you just said it, and you did say it about The Number 23, on board, because I hated that movie. I hated that movie so much. But I guess it stems from the fact that I kind of like this movie.
Well, it's a difference between saying like you're making it a short because you hate it and you want it to be shorter, so it's less painful to... Between that and
The Number 23 would have been better as a short. Would have been objectively a better movie.
If I see a movie I hate, there's no fixing it. It's like, no, this is a bad concept and just dumb. This is a dumb and poorly executed concept at that. Or like, there's no saving it on the editing floor.
Right.
Like, with this, like, I can see redeeming value in it that's being dragged down by all this extraneous bullshit that doesn't serve the story at all.
Well, that's just like your opinion, man. I'm calmer than you are. No, I get what you're saying now, and I guess I will retract a little bit of the shade that I threw on you, because it does have to do with me being offended that you don't like the parts of this movie that I kind of like, you know. So I'll give you that. I will admit that. Yeah, a lot of my criticism of your criticism stems from the fact that, hey, I like this. Don't hurt it. Human Centipede 2 is frail and needs your support.
I'm kicking it while it's down.
Yeah. How many movies? Well, I don't want to get too far into spoilers before we get into spoilers. So,
yeah,
it's interesting how.
Well, let's do the mid-roll and get into spoilers.
Okay. Nightchannels.com is where you go if you want to put super awesome horror themed stuff on your body. They got shirts, sweatshirts. I think they have a few hats. They got the super comfy Gildan, or is it Glidden? Gildan?
Well, they got two different fabrics now. They've got like
a couple different kinds of fabrics you can
kind
put
of
on
the heavyweight fabric, and then like the nice
worn in.
What's it called? The blend.
Yeah, it's some good stuff, and it comes with the most unique prints you've ever seen. And all you got to do is head on over to nightchannels.com and just surf around a little bit, and I guarantee you'll find something that you just can't live without. And when you do, pop all that stuff in your cart, use code HMT at checkout, and that'll get you 13% off your whole order over there. So check them out. They've been supporting the show for a long time, and we like them a lot. Also, you should know that if you're listening to these commercials, you don't have to. We cut out all the commercials if you hop on our Patreon at patreon.com/horrormovietalk. at a certain level. You also get access to Afterpod. You get a nice card with some stickers, some Horror Movie Talk stickers. You can even vote on one movie a month for us to review. You can even get access to exclusive reviews that are only available on Patreon. And I think there's about 20 of those, maybe 18, 19, 20 of those now. So check it out over there on patreon.com. And finally, if you'd like to check out our artist who fucks really, really hard, his name's Dustin Goebel, and he's you can find him on Instagram at dgoebel00. That's at DGOEBEL00 on Instagram. Make your artistic dreams come true. Tell him we sent you, because he's that Teflon dick, and he just fucks the shit out of everything with it. He's an animal. They call him
stuff.
Yeah, the Beast from the Columbus.
Sure, I think they do.
Yeah, they
call them that.
do. They definitely.
If you want to call and leave us a voicemail, call 682-253-4468, and you might hear yourself on a future episode of Horror Movie Talk.
Let's get into spoilers. Spoilers. This is a pretty simple movie.
Yep. Yeah.
It's almost like it could be boiled down into a short.
It's
the casting in this is...
Yeah, I'll say this, like, Tom Six might have a lot of flaws as a director and writer. He might have limitations. But what he's fantastic at, he's absolute best in the industry, is casting the villains in his movie.
Yeah.
Like, perfect casting for Martin.
Yeah, it is alarming. This fella, I mean, what can you say? He
feels like the character that Danny DeVito's Penguin was based on.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, it's
like
Martin
if you've seen Batman Returns, like, and Penguin, that's basically Martin.
Yeah,
just without fingers.
Martin is played by Lawrence R. Harvey. He's got eyes that kind of protrude a little bit too much from his face. He's overweight. He's very small. They call him a midget throughout the movie. There's a lot of...
Which isn't a preferred term now.
Problematic language. In the Human Centipede, too, I'm like, can you clean up your words a little bit? I'm trying to watch a movie where 12 people shit into each other's mouth. But let's keep the poop mouth at bay. Martin has a terrible life. Terrible. It's revealed that he had his father sent to prison for raping him. And his mom hates him for it. Wishes he was dead. His mom is the grossest character, I think, in the movie to me, because she tries to kill him in his sleep. She sees the bed all full of Martin, what she thinks is Martin, but it's not. He walks in and sees his mom stabbing his bed. So gross. And there's this tension in the house, obviously, that's so gnarly. But it made me go, oh, this place exists. This exists for sure. I mean, there are even reality shows about this kind of thing. Like,
yeah.
Like, it just made me go, oh, this is a little slice of real life, which is somehow so gross and disturbing. Did any part of that come at you? What were the things that stood out about this movie to you?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, all that stuff kind of feels false to me. Like, it doesn't... It's not Yeah, in a certain sense, it's reality based, and that people have genuinely miserable lives that are, filled with neglect and trauma and like just kind of disgusting conditions.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like a movie like this kind of takes it and tries to exploit that, and doesn't actually reflect that reality or show like what that actually looks like.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, just takes the disgusting parts of it and like puts it up front. It's like, look at this. Look, how does that make you feel?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas you'd use the same elements and portray them a little more realistic and establish a little more empathy for the characters, but that's not the point of this movie. You're not supposed to have empathy for Martin.
Weirdly enough, I do.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, oh, poor Martin.
Yeah.
Homicidal.
It's... Yeah.
Neurodivergent person.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel terrible for him. Like... I think that's a part of this movie that I think probably doesn't ever get talked about, because it's so disgusting to have to say that you feel empathy for the grossest bad guy ever.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so gross what happened to him. And the life that he lives is so... And he's so despondent. We don't even ever get to hear him talk through the whole movie, He's just so resigned and just dedicated to this horrendous thing. And it's like, anything that makes that person, it had to be a horrible series of events.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I think that's why I kind of like this movie, is because no one will say that, but everyone will feel it a little bit. You didn't feel any empathy for Martin?
Again, I feel like in this setting, it feels exploitative. It doesn't feel genuine. Like, it's almost like, I mean, it's not far off from the movie Precious, where it's like, oh yeah, you're a...
I never saw that movie, by the way.
It's a fantastic movie. It's very disturbing. And the reality of just her life is horror enough. Like, you don't need to add anything, where it's like, oh, she was basically molested by her mom's boyfriend and her mom, basically. And, like, her mom is so narcissistic and such a terrible person that, like, won't take any responsibility for anything, and just makes this poor girl feel miserable about living,
Ugh.
And you see, like, she's still, like, just such a... The people that give her... it's been a long time since I've watched it, but, like, it's heartbreaking, but hopeful, and very horrifying, like, the way it depicts reality, which is like, oh, yeah, this is happening. Like, this stuff happens. And in this context, it's like...
Never thought Precious would have gotten brought up.
It's like a
Human Centipede 2 episode.
It's like a crutch. It's like shorthand. It's like, oh yeah, this guy was molested, so now he's evil.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, that doesn't. I don't know. It feels so dismissive of actual human tragedy to serve a over the top, goofy premise. To where it turns me off, it doesn't work for me to use that as the setup, because it's like, it just feels like wrong in a wrong way to utilize it. So yeah, like,
is it because he's a man?
No. I mean, it's like just utilizing that to say, like, oh, this is a pitiable character, as opposed to, like, encouraging, like, actual understanding or empathy for this person.
Well,
it's like, you don't want that either, though. So it's like, because they're going to be murdering people. So I don't know. It just doesn't land for me, I think, is the end result.
Yeah. perhaps. Martin gets bonking. He's got this crowbar. This was a big part of the comedy to me. Was the way Martin's a spider in a web. Spiders, they have their methods to get their flies. And Martin's method is literally to walk up to people and just bonk them on the head with a crowbar.
Yeah.
And the way he does it is just so... It's like a second grader in a play. It's like, here, I'm doing it now, bonk. It's so low effort, like bonk on the head.
Yeah, and it's so repetitive. Like, that part of the movie is so repetitive to the point of, like, why are we doing this again and again? It's like, at least have some variety in it. Like, have a guy not pass out, have someone run away. I guess they did have one person run away once. But it's like, to set up the character as being pretty incompetent and, like, a schlubby, out-of-shape guy. Like, you would expect more complications to happen, but nope. He just walks up and bonks him. That's all he's got to do.
He's a parking lot attendant, so he basically is like a security guard that watches security cameras in this underground parking lot, and uses that information to understand when people are alone, and he can bonk them on the head. And one of his victims, they actually have a kid in the car, and you're like, oh no, what's he going to do to this kid? And he leaves the kid alone. So Martin's not all bad. He leaves the kid alone. Well, I mean, he takes his parents away and is going to put him in a human centipede, right? 12-person human centipede. And he's going to make them shit into each other's mouth. And that's not super cool.
For all we know, they might already do that.
Right. That could just be their Tuesday night.
Yeah, it's a perfectly normal thing for a lot of people.
But the kid is left alone in the car. So you're like, there's hope. You're so you don't care. You don't care at all. You're just done with this movie, aren't you?
This part of the movie is just so uninteresting to me. Like, the two parts that I would leave in is, like, him obsessing over the human centipede.
That's pretty great.
And then masturbating with sandpaper for some reason.
I was going to say that too.
Maybe some of the flashbacks to his home life would be pertinent or entertaining, but other than that, like, the capturing of the people just does nothing for me. It's like, this is very, very repetitive. It's like,
what about...
Can you differentiate between any of them other than the one where the girl walks into the stairwell? That's the only one that seems...
The therapist in the car scene was pretty disgusting and hilarious. Like, he walks in, his therapist is in his parking lot having sex with a hooker.
Sex worker, my
apologies. You don't want to...
Yeah, don't want to offend people. Listen to the Human Centipede 2 review.
His therapist is having sex with a what?
Sex worker.
Sex worker. But he's this therapist is lamenting. I wish... Now, this is a direct quote, so please don't be upset with me. I wish I was fucking that retarded boy instead. And you're like, oh my God, this is hilarious.
Which is a little weird because he's not a boy.
He's talking about Martin.
Yeah, he's talking about... that's implied, but...
Right.
Martin's a full-grown man.
Yeah, but you kind of look at him as a boy, right? I guess. I don't know. I don't know. This could be a colloquialism. This is the UK.
That boy
ain't right. And he's not. He's not okay. But he gets his therapist in...
He's neurodivergent.
Right. And his therapist actually ends up being the dead middle of the Human Centipede, which, as we discussed in our original review of the first movie,
which is the worst
Which is the worst position.
It's a lot easier to nail that down when there's only 3 positions.
Right.
We played the game head, middle, ass from Human Centipede to deter, like, fuck, marry, kill.
Yeah.
It's very nice and tidy game concept. This one, you'd be like, all right, I'm going to play a new game. Head, middle, 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 ass.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
You got a dozen people. Let's assign them where we would put them on the line of Human Centipede.
Okay. Okay, we're going to do it real quick.
Okay.
Okay, we got Vin Diesel.
So the Avengers.
No, we got...
The cast of the MCU.
The Expendables.
Oh, the Expendables.
For obvious reasons.
Uh-huh.
So where does Vin Diesel go?
Vin Diesel? He'd be second from last.
Wow, what?
Yeah.
Why do you dislike Vin Diesel?
I don't know. Why do you like him?
I don't know. I always like Chronicles of Riddick.
Okay.
Riddick movies. I don't know. He's fun. I always thought he got a weird amount of shade thrown at him.
It's just, I don't necessarily hate him, but I see no, like, it's like a nothing for me.
You know those, it's how much is this celebrity worth sites? He's supposedly, I don't know how accurate any of those things are, but supposedly he's worth $250 million.
Well, yeah, he's the beginning of one of the largest franchises in history.
Yeah, I mean, he must have worked some sort of deal where he gets a percentage of the profits or something like that, because that, you just wouldn't be worth that much.
Right. He was the second lead in the first movie. So, like, if you're going to build a franchise off of it, people that are fans of the franchise are going to want to see Vin Diesel. I can't remember his name in the movie.
Yeah.
They're going to want to see him again in the sequels, which gives that actor the position of saying, like, oh, you want to build a franchise off of me? Huh. Okay, we'll pay the fuck up.
Yeah.
And I'll do it.
Yeah.
And that's...
I mean,
how you can do that.
Bravo. I don't think even like there's a lot of real big actors out there who are not even close to that, you know?
No, but I mean, yeah, if you got a 12 movie franchise or something like that, it's like, yeah, you can get a taste of that.
Yeah, I suppose so. Anyway, well, let's see here. So, yeah, for some reason he's super obsessed with the Human Centipede and masturbates with sandpaper over it.
Yeah, as one does.
Is that something you do? You got sandpaper? Oh, that's what
you don't.
That's what that's for. Yeah, I mean, so once he gets all his segments of the centipede together, he starts, then the movie kind of begins, which is he knocks their teeth out with a hammer, which is, I mean,
the contrast of the full movie, the whole point of the movie is like, the first one, Dieter Laser is an actual, like, doctor. Like, he's dedicated his career to the merging, or, well, his was like separating Siamese twins, and then he was like had the knowledge and like obsession to reverse that process, basically. And so he's clinical. He's got like a stuff, and then there's a little bit of like dirtiness in his setup or whatever, but it's very professional and clinical. And then the contrast is, this is just some schlubby idiot that just wants to do it. And what would that look like?
Yeah.
And it looks pretty rough.
Oh,
you know?
Yeah, it's a lot of duct tape.
Yeah. No.
Unironically. Like, literally, he's just like, just staples and duct tape.
Right.
Like, we're just blasting it in there.
No, like, anesthesia. No one's hooked up to anything.
I like the concept of this a little bit too much, I think. Where it's like a guy obsessing over the first movie.
Right. Like, it's not terrible. Like, it's not an awful way to do a sequel.
And they even get the actress from the first movie, Ashlyn Yenny, as he's like calling her and trying to get her publicist to come out, just so he can get her as the front of his
yeah, he
Centipede.
He says that she's being called out to audition for a Quentin Tarantino movie, and she's so excited. And then,
little did she know it's a Tom Six movie.
Yeah,
again.
Oh, God damn it!
Not again. I hope they wash their butts.
Which was like a question I had on the commentary. What were the auditions like for Human Centipede 2? Like, did they have to trick them?
What do you mean?
All right, you're auditioning for a renowned horror director. Like, so it's a little extreme. Like, how do you feel about nudity? Okay, yeah, I'll write that down. On a scale of 1 to 10, how comfortable are you being close to other actors?
Oh, I'm a people person.
Good, good.
Yeah, I'm whatever the shot calls for.
Have you ever done any open mouth kissing?
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. How do you feel about analingus?
What, excuse me?
Well, mouth
I
to
think
ass.
I might not have heard. Wait, what? I'm talking.
Analingus? It's like eating someone's asshole out.
Oh,
you're young. You're hip.
Are you talking? Is this a personal question or? Are you coming on to me right now?
Well, I mean, it's we're seeing how comfortable people would be in different situations that might come up in a movie.
I guess if it's tastefully done.
Yeah. Okay. Artfully done.
Yeah, it has to be. It really has to be. I'd have to appreciate the artistic value behind it.
Okay. How do you feel about analingus for about 30 minutes worth of screen time?
I guess that's realistic. It's a proper amount of foreplay. I mean, I do need work. Badly.
Yeah.
Are we doing a porno? Oh no, this is much worse.
This is a top 6 movie.
Oh man.
Anyways.
Yeah, and actually, I got a little bit of extra joy out of this because there was a part where you were made super uncomfortable.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the cutting the knee tendons.
Yeah.
Did something to me.
There's a lot shown in this movie. They really show him knocking teeth out with a hammer.
Yeah.
Really show him, which was not great for me. I didn't love it. To be honest with you. But then the next scene was cutting the knee tendons. And he really pulls that tendon out, and Bryce was just beside himself. How was that?
It was rough. Like, it was, this is where, this part of the movie is where all the gold is. It's like, yeah, this makes you feel something, There's going to be something in there that, like, you can't roll your eyes at and be like, it's movie magic. It's like, there's enough visceral qualities of it where it's going to just affect you if you just sit there and watch it. And that was one of them.
What about when he finally gets the whole thing together and he's excited for them to start pooping into each other's mouths?
Yeah.
So he starts squeezing their tummies and going with his tongue. He raspberries them. He's like, you need to do this. You need to poop now.
Oh, yeah. We didn't mention that Martin doesn't have a line of dialogue in this whole movie.
I did mention that, yeah.
And that's probably another reason why I disliked the first 2 acts of the movie as well. It's just like, okay, I get it. It's like,
kid doesn't talk, we get it.
If you're going to make a strong choice and have your lead in your movie not have a line of dialogue, better be a lot of stuff happening around him. Yeah, so that, I think my favorite part is the whole movie is in black and white.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I guess the black and white version is the original version. Like, I don't know if there is a color one, but if there is, it's the re-release or whatever.
Right, I think so.
But I like the nice little touch that it's black and white, except for when they're defecating and a little bit of poop leaks out from the seal, the mouth to ass seal.
Not a little bit sometimes.
Yeah, not a little bit. So it's like, I said in the commentary, like, on Schindler's List,
okay,
where it's black and white, but it's got the little girl in the red coat. Like, it's that little pop of color that really sells it, because you see that red coat laying on a pile of other coats of, Jewish people that are massacred.
Didn't think there would be a Precious tie-in. Didn't think there'd be a Schindler's List tie-in.
I mean, it's comparable. But, yeah, in this movie, the pop of color is the poop. Where it's like, this is where we're putting all of our intention about where we want people to focus. And the focus is diarrhea.
It's so gnarly.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's what we're working with.
You really do sacrifice a piece of your soul when you watch something that's just gross for grossness' sake.
Yeah.
I felt this way a little bit about the sadness.
Yeah.
More so maybe about watching the sadness.
Yeah.
And it's a weird juxtaposition, the sadness versus this, because the sadness is so hyper colorized. Like it felt oversaturated. And this is in black and white, and both they work in their own way, like you really see a lot of wet, goopy blood in the sadness and nastiness. And in this, I mean, you really see the dark, gross grittiness of this whole thing. Ugh.
I gotta say, it's not a bad choice to have it in black and white. I think it's effective as a black and white movie.
There's a pregnant lady.
Yeah, the capstone of the grossness is the result of the pregnant lady.
What happened? I can't. Oh! I blocked it out. It's all.
So he bonks the pregnant lady, and you assume that she's dead.
It's so gross.
And he even like listens to the baby in her tummy, and he has like apparently perfect, hypersonic hearing. But in the end, the pregnant woman is actually still alive, and she makes a run for it. She makes an escape, but she goes into labor, and as she's in the car, she gives birth, and the baby slips underneath the pedal, and she stomps the baby. Like, that's like the pièce de la résistance of this movie. Like, yep, this is where we're going.
So uncalled for.
Yeah.
It doesn't even make sense.
That's exactly what this type of movie is made for, is for that scene.
It's so absurdly over the top. There's almost no way. At first, I was so offended. I was just like, why would you do that? There's no part of this that makes sense. It's just gross. And then I went, oh, it's just gross.
Right.
It's just gross for grossness' sake.
It's supposed to be gross and tasteless.
It's Tom Six being like, okay, you've handled all that. Try and handle this.
See what's disturbing?
A lady giving birth to a child whose head she then stomps on in glee to get away from this.
Well, not in glee.
She was pretty excited.
She doesn't know that she was doing it, I
felt like she...
Well, here's the thing. As horrible as it can get...
This is where your 3 points came from.
In film, as horrifying as that is... Like, and that's going to stick with you.
It's giving me a headache
out of
right
like
now.
all movies. Like, holy shit, how could they possibly put that in? Like, that pales in comparison to like pretty much any run of the mill war atrocity. Really, you hear of like we. Speaking of the sadness, this came up like, yeah, or no, the wailing. I guess is when it came up. We talked about kind of the, implications in that movie that where the antagonist was Japanese.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, if you want to see how bad reality can get, like, look at the Japanese activity in World War II. And I'm not talking about Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, actually, we had a patron who join who knows a decent amount about the history there, and my suspicions were confirmed that the Japanese guy being the bad guy in the whaling that is not accidental. That is very obviously intentional and historically significant.
Yeah, it's not just being an outsider.
Right. Yeah,
it's a very specific outsider.
Yeah, the Japanese, historically, not super popular in Asia because...
I mean, this country was a real jerk.
Yeah, they've done some bad things.
Japan was a real rascal during World War II.
Before then, and for centuries. Right. Anyhow, but, you know, we all love them now. I mean, who doesn't love Hello Kitty? This movie is so fucked up, and I respect it for that. I'm impressed with the lengths to which he was willing to go just to be like, see what I can do? Look what I can do.
Yeah. I mean, that's where it gets its 2 points for me.
3 points. You gave it 3.
Well, I know. It would have been a 1, though. 1 is the bottom of the scale. It gets an extra 2 points.
Oh, got it.
For that aspect.
Yeah.
But hey, listen to me. I'm comparing it to renowned movies like Precious and Schindler's List.
Yeah. And, we even got The Wailing in there.
Significant war atrocities. And yeah, it'll make you feel something.
Got that right. Who would you recommend this to? Anyone?
I mean, if you're just in it for the depravity. If you like gross out, goopy horror, like this will have something for you. But I feel like it's going to weed out
some deep breaths. It's going to rough.
That first hour is going to weed out a lot of people. Like, if you don't like mood, where it's like, if you don't like the visceral, like, I don't know what you'd call it.
Nastiness.
Just nastiness and like mood setting and tone for tone's sake.
Yeah.
Then you're probably not going to like the first hour of this movie. But it's also one of those that you could probably just skip forward to the end and you'll see everything that everyone talks about.
I don't want to. Let's get into It Came from Social Media.
Okay.
Jiminy Christmas.
Yes, it came
from social media
to fill the world with terror, to bring you unforgettable suspense. What was it? Where did it come from? Who were the all-powerful creatures it brought
from social media?
And what did they want on Earth?
This is just stuff that came to us from fans over social media, over our email. I think through our email. Last episode, we talked about Mariah Carey. And I was excited because I'd been going back through her catalog and being like, wow, this is great. And we received this email from Dan C., which I am so happy to read on air. It goes like this. Hi, David and Bryce. I like that he put me first. I listen to a lot of your episodes as you always offer the most in-depth conversation about new horror and old horror I'm actually watching. I've thought about writing in a bunch of times before, some things that have been a little problematic, but ultimately I believe you guys mean well, and I've decided not to. Well, thank you, Dan. I appreciate the vote of confidence, and do know that we are not trying to be problematic. We just are by accident. However, he says, the most problematic behavior is not having the facts straight when we're talking about Mariah Carey. I am a Lamb, parentheses, Mariah fan. So this is interesting. And part of the Lamely, the Mariah fan community. So apparently Mariah fans are called Lambs. And the family of lambs is called the Lamely. I am on the edge of my seat. He goes on. Love that you've been into Mimi lately and wanted to answer some of those questions real fast. The fall off after Nick Cannon was because she had a really difficult pregnancy with twins from him in 2010, gestational diabetes and extreme swelling, which led to 100-pound weight gain during the pregnancy. When she eventually got back to working, she hired this monster manager, Stella Boloknikov, who is infamous in the industry and allegedly peed on Mariah's staff. What the fuck? What the fuck? Peed on Mariah's staff. She had her advertising for SodaStream in Israel only and mobile games. And she was already well into her 40s at the time she got rid of Stella. So radio hits are pretty hard to get for women at that age. As for the idea that she fell off because she was choosing her own stuff, mostly not accurate, Bryce. She wrote and produced almost every song since debut with collaborators because she doesn't actually know how to play piano, but was married to Sony Records CEO Tommy Mottola, who pushed her in a white adult contemporary direction until the Butterfly album in the late 90s, when she was divorcing him and started making R&B. He did try to get revenge by making J-Lo's career try to rival Mariah in 2001, stealing samples and collaborators from her before she released her tracks to make J-Lo's I'm Real and I'm Real remix, ironically. Love the pod. Keep doing what you're doing with horror and continue with your Mariah nostalgia listening. Good news, Dan. First of all, thank you for listening. Good news is I've been continuing listening to Mariah because, well, it's just a bottomless pit of great shit. So I am maybe in the beginning stages of being a lamb. And if so, how do I become part of the Lamely? And where do I get to pee on her staff?
Yeah.
Apparently.
Well, you got to be her manager to do that. Yeah, I also like that in one of his replies, he says, you just listen to the end of the Nope episode. I wrote Stan in my email, but wasn't sure if you would know what that was, so I changed it to Mariah Carey fan. Bryce got the definition and his uses in example sentences correct.
How did I respond to that? What did I say?
I think I responded to it.
No, I responded to it too.
Oh, good to know two people understand that reference.
There you go.
Yeah. I see, my addiction to TikTok comes with two things. Like, it comes with a debilitating need for novelty, and it comes with my understanding of the kids' generation and how they talk. And that's one of the things. So if you want to know where the lingo's coming from, you got to get on TikTok.
You're not cool, man, just because you know the lingo. I mean, I guess you kind of are.
Yeah.
More.
We got to expand our audiences. Our audience is aging.
Oh dear.
They're going to age out.
Yeah. Well,
these
so
30 and 40-year-olds are going to just die off. We're going
to go with them.
We need to find, the younger generation and use words like stan and mid.
What's mid? Is that just mean like middle ground?
Yeah, it's what you would
It's
assume.
just like, who cares about that?
It's like, Mariah Carey's mid.
Average.
I don't think Mariah Carey's mid.
James J., who's a very familiar face in the Facebook group. By the way, if you want to join that Facebook group, check it out on Facebook. A lot of people, nice people. It's a great place, and it's got a lot of great horror memes and stuff. But James J. Says, cheers to David Dave for repping some ODB with Mariah Carey on that Nope Afterpod. Literally the only song by Mariah that I love. Rip Old Dirty. Yeah, rip in peace, ODB. We do. He's bringing up the Afterpod, and we do get into it on the Afterpod on that one as well about Mariah. And just our last, we got Alt Jed James on that Facebook group, says, upgraded my Patreon to get those early access reviews. Amazing. So there it is. You got a little bit of taste of what's been happening on our social media. And we appreciate that you appreciate our offerings over there on Patreon, Alt Jed. So y'all, I hope you have a great day. I'm starting to flag. We need to get some food up in here, bro.
All right. I gotta pee.
I do too. So
I got to pee on Mariah Carey's staff.
Thanks to everyone for listening. I hope you have a great week. If you want some access to that Human Centipede 2 commentary track, check out our Patreon at any level. It's out over there. Make sure to share the show with a friend. That helps us out a lot. Drop us a nice review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Special thanks to all of you special listeners. And
as a recommendation from me, like a great double feature, just saying, Schindler's List, Human Centipede 2.
There it is. Bye. Have a great week.
Hello and welcome to Horror Movie Talk.
An opinionated and accidentally funny horror movie review show. Go, 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 go.
Just took a stroll through the scraggly woods. He had no face! Horror!
Sabrina, don't just stare at it, eat it.
New theatrical releases always get priority.
But we also review older horror movies, both good and horrible.
Wow, that didn't sound good.
Poop again!